Hello everyone, good morning. Guys, I believe I am completely audible and my screen is visible. Very good morning, guys. All right. I see students are still joining the session. Let's wait for like 5 minutes more. Let everyone join the session first and then we'll start with this lesson too, right? Divyesh, regarding the final exam or the final evaluation of this institutional training, you can better get in touch with the coordinator because only he can guide you, in the correct manner regarding the same. Till the time we do not have any information regarding it, so we cannot say comment on it. And guys, as you just have completed your first year of engineering, I just want to suggest you something: how to contact your teacher. So whenever you have to contact any of your teacher, please message in an appropriate manner by writing your name, UID, and the whole of the concern in a single message. We are not friends, right? So you cannot just spam our WhatsApp by sending multiple messages. I'm sorry, but I cannot entertain such kind of messages. So in future, whenever you have to message, so please message in an appropriate manner, like how you are supposed to message a teacher. And we do have a personal life, so I request you not to call me after 4:30. So the correct time to contact any of the teacher is between 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That's the working hours. And that's it. On Sunday, if you're calling me in the evening, then I'm sorry, I cannot take up any of your query, even if it is small. I believe you all have understood the concern. Is it clear to everyone out there? Great. And in institutional training, I'm active in, you know, these 2 hours most of the time because I'm just taking institutional training in this June and July month. I'm not engaged in any other task. So please respect my space too, as I respect yours. All right, guys. So I believe we are now good to start with lesson two. It's all about explaining threat actors and threat intelligence. Now, see, the thing is, as I told you earlier, regarding any effective security assessment or being a security professional, you just you don't just need to think of the measures. Everyone is in shame. There is no such request. So, talking about the security professionals, in order to conduct an effective security assessment, they don't just need to think of the the defense measure, like how they will be defending their the system, the security thing. The thing is, they have to think like an attacker or the hacker as well, so that they can take out measures in a pure manner, so that no attacker or the hacker can further attack the system. Just a second. Okay, everyone is in. I believe there is no one in the waiting lobby. So to make an effective security assessment, the thing is we must be able to explain the strategies for both defense and attack as well. So the responsibility basically lies, the principal responsibility in defending assets. But to do this, we must be able to explain tactics, techniques, and procedures of threat actors as well. How the attacker or hacker would be able to attack our system or the security thing, in which manner, by using what kind of tactics, techniques, or procedures. So we need to be, able to differentiate the types and the capabilities of threat actors as well. So we'll be studying about it. So in this particular chapter, we are going to explain the threat actor types and the attack vectors, as well as we'll be covering the threat intelligence sources as well. How the threat actors are those who are basically harming the system, right? That could be attacker or the hacker. I believe it's clear to everyone out there. So regarding, in order to proceed with this topic, we have to be familiar with these three terms. One is vulnerability, then we have threat, and then we have risk. So any idea about vulnerability? Guys, what is vulnerability? Yes, it's the weakness, how easily it can be hacked, or we can say it's the loophole, the weakness which lies in the system from where the attacker or the hacker can get access to the system. Yes, right. So, vulnerability, we can state it as the yes, weakness or loophole, whatever the term you would like to use, that's completely your wish. So, that could be triggered accidentally. Now, see, attack can happen accidentally as well or intentionally. Now, there could be attackers or there could be hackers. Like, there could be various attacks which happened like accidentally in an accident nature only. And there are many intentional attacks as well. So, vulnerability is basically the weakness that could be triggered through which the attack may happen. So that could be triggered accidentally or exploited intentionally to cause a security breach. So whenever someone is able to get access to the system, our security is breached, right? So how we can ensure the three, the objectives or the goals of security? What are the three goals or the objectives of security, guys? Do you remember those? CIA. Or if I ask you, what are the properties of secure information processing system? So what could be those? Properties of secure information processing system. What kind of properties do we expect from a secure information processing system? Any idea? Same. That is CIA only. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And apart from this, there is one important property which we can consider in secure information processing system when we are actually processing information via internet. So that is known repudiation as well. है ना? Okay, now tell me which term is used to describe the property of a secure network where a sender cannot deny having sent a message. So this is the question. Rahul is saying no interpretation, Nancy's signature. Okay. Now let me give you a hint. It's from lesson one only. Whatever the topics we have studied in chapter one, lesson one. So the concept is from there only. Now think of the correct answer. Everyone, please acknowledge. There is no such option of poll here, or else I have raised a poll. Yes, guys, it's non-repudiation only. That's the property of a secure network where a sender as well as a receiver, they both cannot deny having sent a message or received a message. So both it works in both the ways actually, right? Okay, so do you remember the full form of CISO? CISO. Anyone? Let me type in over here. What's CISO? Chief Information Security Officer. Yes, right. And this is basically a job title of the person, right? A designation as CISO. So what exactly this job title of a person comes up with the responsibility? क्या responsibility रहती है for this person who is CISO? And it can be referred as something else as well. मतलब CISO को हम कुछ और भी call out कर सकते हैं. What is that? Other name. What's the other term? It can be referred as Chief Security Officer. No, sorry. Lack. What are you saying, Ganesh? It is CIO, Chief Information Officer. So the overall responsibility is for the information assurance and system security. So both the terms are covered in the job title itself. So this particular job title, whatever the person is assigned with, so they are basically assuring this information assurance and system security. Is it clear? And I believe you all are clear with this triad, security triad, which is CIA, and you are very well aware of the full form of CIA, that's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Are you aware of the definition of like the meaning of these three terms apart from the full form? Yes, no, maybe. Guys, have you revised lesson 1? Whatever the topics we are covering on a daily basis, make sure you revise the concept. Anytime, any surprise test can be taken in the class. So make sure you prepare well in a regular manner, right? Okay, so let's move forward with this particular lesson. So we are basically discussing about vulnerability, threat, and risk. So vulnerability is basically the weakness that can be triggered accidentally or exploited intentionally to cause a security breach. So now examples could be vulnerability कुछ भी हो सकता है if there is improperly configured or installed hardware or software, if there are some delays in applying or testing the software, some firmware patches, some untested software or some kind of misuse of software or communication protocols, we can say. And in a physical security, we can say some inadequate physical security, that is a vulnerability as well. Any unauthorized person could get access to the uh, the office premises and so on. Insecure password usage, some kind of design flaws in the software or operating system. So anything such kind of weaknesses which lies in the system, whether it's there in the hardware or the software or the operating system, that can act as the vulnerability, as the weakness from where any kind of attack may happen and the security could be breached, right? So we know about the patch management, debugging, security updates, and the firmware updates, the secure password usage and so on. So these are the ways how we can overcome the vulnerability, how we can cover the patches, how we can uh, make our system more secure, right? The next part is threat. We are firstly getting familiar with the definition of these three terms which are being used over here. Then we'll be able to, depict from the picture itself what kind of message it is uh, displaying. So threat क्या होता है? What exactly is threat? Anyone? To harm, something dangerous, chances of breaching, yes. जहाँ थ्रेट होगा, कुछ काइंड ऑफ थ्रेट एक्टर होगा, तो वहाँ सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच होने के चांसेस रहेंगे. So we can say threat is the potential for someone or something to exploit the vulnerability and breach security. कुछ ऐसा पोटेंशियल होता है किसी भी चीज का कि वो वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट करके, है ना, उसका मिसयूज करके सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच कर देगा. Exploit the vulnerability and breach the security. Now, as we discussed about vulnerability, कि जो attacks होते हैं वो intentionally भी हो सकते हैं और accidentally भी हो सकते हैं. So in a similar manner, जो threat होता है वो intentional भी हो सकता है, वो unintentional भी हो सकता है ना. किसी भी चीज का पोटेंशियल अगर इतना हाई हो रहा है कि वो हमारी सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच कर रहा है, वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहा है, तो वो चीज का पोटेंशियल जो हाई हो रहा है, वो अगर हम पर्टिकुलर किसी चीज की बात कर रहे हैं, किसी पार्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो इंटेंशनल चीज भी हो सकती है और अनइंटेंशनल भी हो सकती है. एंड इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द थ्रेट मे बी इंटेंशनल, so that could happen through the threat actor with a malicious purpose, like any attacker or hacker, है ना. उनके इरादे कभी सही नहीं होते. इफ देयर इज एनी हैकर और अटैकर, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट एथिकल हैकर्स, लाइक बेसिक जो ब्लैक हैट हैकर्स होते हैं. So they always think in a malicious manner. So they have a malicious purpose. So they are the threat actors, right? And if we talk about unintentional threat, that could be threat actor that causes a vulnerability or exposes a threat attack vector without any malicious intent. So if there is something which is happening with the malicious intentions, so that is intentional threat. And if there is something which is not happening with malicious intentions, so that is unintentional threat. I hope I am clear to everyone out there. So that could be the person or thing that possesses the threat is called threat actor or threat agent. That could be any person, anything जो किसी थ्रेट को अराइज करते, जो पोजेस करते हैं, है ना, तो वो थ्रेट एक्टर हो जाएंगे या थ्रेट एजेंट हो जाएंगे. And through threat actor or threat agent only, security could be breached and the vulnerabilities could be exploited. So the path or tool used by the malicious threat actor can be referred as the attack vector. Here the term which is used, attack vector, threat vector. So that is the tools जो भी वो path follow करते हैं, malicious threat actor जो है, जो उनके intentions में ही गलत है कि उनका malicious purpose है, so जो वो path follow करेंगे वो attack vector होगा. किस तरह से उन्होंने attack plan किया. Is it clear to everyone? Great. Then we have risk. Risk का मतलब समझते हैं? In a like general manner. What is risk? Yes, guys. Danger और रिस्क होता है कि इस चीज के होने का रिस्क है, मतलब चांसेस हैं, देयर इज सम लाइक्लीहुड, और एंड दी मतलब रिस्क किसी किसी भी डेंजर या फिर कुछ भी ऐसी खतरनाक चीज का जो लाइक्लीहुड इन द सेंस चांसेस होते हैं, right? The probability of happening, chances of you losing something valuable. So that could be likelihood and the impact, or we can say the consequences of threat actor exploiting our vulnerability. जो थ्रेट एक्टर है, हमें पता है वो कोई भी पर्सन या कोई भी ऐसी चीज हो सकती है जिसकी वजह से जो थ्रेट पोजेस करते हैं. तो क्या चांसेस हैं, क्या लाइक्लीहुड है कि उसका इम्पैक्ट होगा थ्रेट एक्टर का, कि वो हमारी वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट करके सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच कर देंगे. दैट इज द बेसिक रिस्क, राइट? If we talk about in the security manner. So to assess risk, in order to assess the risk, we should identify a vulnerability, क्या vulnerability है, and then evaluate the likelihood of it being exploited by a threat and the impact that a successful exploit would have. ठीक है? So किसी भी रिस्क को असेस करने के लिए फर्स्टली वी नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई कि हमारे सिस्टम में वीकनेस क्या है, वल्नरेबिलिटी क्या है, एंड देन वी हैव टू इवैल्यूएट कि क्या चांसेस हैं, क्या लाइक्लीहुड है कि ये एक्सप्लॉइट हो जाएगा इस थ्रेट से, एंड अगर हो गया तो इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट रहेगा अगर ये सक्सेसफुली एक्सप्लॉइट हो गया. So that's how we can assess the risk. Is it clear to everyone out there? I hope you are clear with these three terms. One is vulnerability, then we have threat, then we have risk. If we are clear with these three terms, then we can easily, fetch information from the picture itself, which is given on the screen. Now, there is vulnerability. What does that mean? Vulnerability is any weakness that could be triggered accidentally or maliciously. Now, it has some asset value. Asset value of system with vulnerability will determine the impact. क्या वैल्यू है उस असेट की जिसमें वल्नरेबिलिटी है, उससे इम्पैक्ट का ज्यादा पता चलेगा. और ईज ऑफ एक्सप्लॉइट क्या है, कितनी इजीली हम इस वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट कर सकते हैं, इससे हमें उसकी लाइक्लीहुड पता चलेगी. मतलब ये कितना के इजीली एक्सप्लॉइट होने वाली वल्नरेबिलिटी है, ये जो वीकनेस हमारे सिस्टम में लाई कर रही है, इसके क्या चांसेस है, कितनी इजीली ये एक्सप्लॉइट हो सकती है ना. देन वल्नरेबिलिटी प्लस थ्रेट. अब थ्रेट आ गया. अब थ्रेट that could be internal, how prone it is, CSRM. So then we have threat. So the potential of threat actor to exploit the vulnerability, that is the part. क्या पोटेंशियल है थ्रेट एक्टर का इस वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट कर सके. अब जो थ्रेट एक्टर्स होते हैं, दैट कुड बी एनी पर्सन और थिंग एज वी डिस्कस, दैट कुड बी थ्रेट एक्टर और थ्रेट एजेंट, दोनों टर्म्स यूज हो सकती है. तो वो इंटरनल भी हो सकते हैं, एक्सटर्नल भी हो सकते हैं. इंटरनल हु आर पार्ट ऑफ द सिस्टम, एक्सटर्नल हु आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ द सिस्टम, हु आर एक्चुअली आउटसाइड द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, और वो ऐसे इंटेंशनली जो है अपना अटैक वगैरह करते हैं. इंटरनली भी अटैक हो सकते हैं, दैट हैपन थ्रू एम्प्लॉयज इटसेल्फ, राइट. देन वी हैव दिस मॉलिशियस और एक्सीडेंटल. अब जो ये थ्रेट एक्टर्स हैं, ये किस तरह से एक्ट कर रहे हैं, वेदर दे आर एक्टिंग मॉलिशियसली और इंटेंशनली. बेसिक एक्सीडेंटली. सो इसका इंटेंशनल थ्रेट और अनइंटेंशनल थ्रेट वो वाला पार्ट आ जाएगा इसमें, राइट? Then attack vector. Attack vector, as I told you, that is basically the specific tool or path for the attack. उन्होंने कौन सा tool या path follow किया है in order to perform the attack. So when these both are combined, vulnerability and threat, then there is risk. अब overall risk कैसे calculate होता है? From the impact and likelihood. So it's basically multiplication of both. क्या impact है इसका और क्या इसके chances हैं होने के? So that's the multiplication of both, that from like where we can assess the risk or calculate the risk. And the impact could be loss to the organization that could happen from the exploit. कुछ अगर इम्पैक्ट आता है, एक्सप्लॉइट हुआ है वल्नरेबिलिटी का, तो ऑब्वियसली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को एक बैड वे में ही इम्पैक्ट करेगा. दैट वुड बी अ लॉस. एंड likelihood of threat actors successfully exploiting a vulnerability, that's a likelihood. likelihood क्या होता है कि कितनी सक्सेसफुली ये थ्रेट एक्टर अपनी जो है जो हमारी वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट कर सकता है, right? So this is how these three terms are interrelated. One is vulnerability, then we have threat, then we have risk. I believe this picture itself is clear to each one of you now. Yeah, great. So, black hat hackers कौन से होते हैं बच्चे? What are black? Who are actually black hat hackers? You must have heard about black hat, white hat, gray hat. Hackers with not good intentions, which are not ethical, not having good intents. Yes. So hacker operating with some malicious intent, we can say. अब हम थोड़ा टेक्निकल टर्म भी यूज कर सकते हैं, malicious with not so good intentions. अच्छा, व्हाइट हैट कौन से होते हैं? Who are white hat hackers? Ethical hackers. Why they are considered ethical hackers? Yes, Vishwa, they are ethical hackers only. Those help company to secure the system. Yes, right. So basically they are hacker only, है ना? Ethical hacker कह दिया, white hat बोल दिया. So the hackers which are engaged in authorized penetration testing or other security consultancies, like who are part of the organization working in such a manner that they are assuring security to this their organization firms. Okay, then we have gray hat. We are very well aware of black hat, white hat. दोनों को मिक्स करके बना ग्रे हैट. अब ग्रे हैट में क्या होगा? To do both types of hacking. मतलब आई एम अ पार्ट ऑफ एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, मैं इनके लिए एक एथिकल हैकर हूँ, तो मैं ब्लैक वाइट हैट हुई तो मैं ब्लैक हैट वाला ये टास्क क्यों करूंगी सागर? दे डू इट फॉर फन, कैन से. So the hacker who analyzes the network without seeking authorization. यहाँ उन्होंने authorization नहीं सीखी, मतलब किसी की कोई permission नहीं ली, but without overtly like malicious intent. कोई इनका malicious intent नहीं रहता. ब्लैक हैट का malicious intent होता है, व्हाइट हैट एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए डेडिकेटेड होते हैं, ग्रे हैट विदाउट ऑथराइजेशन काम करते हैं लेकिन malicious intent नहीं रखते हैं. Is it clear? Their intention is not bad, but they do illegal things illegally or without authorization जो हो गया. Okay, you all are of AEML batch है ना, artificial intelligence machine learning के students हैं आप. So can you tell me what is AI, artificial intelligence? You have chosen this line, so you must be having, I would say, idea or knowledge about this field. कुछ तो सोचा होगा. AI क्या है? अपनी फील्ड का ये मुझे बता दो. Machines start learning by their own. So we don't have to put any effort in it. Sagar? So are they learning through their own only? You have to, yes, right? Anyone else? Please give your input. What is AI? But based on some observations. Regression. So if someone asks you what is AI, you will say regression. What is artificial intelligence? Is it regression? Isn't it the science of creating machines with the ability to develop some problem solving analysis strategies without significant human directions or intervention? It's a developed intelligence in any machine, which as of now is based on emotions but not on logic. Making machines smart, correct, Aaron Rahul, a machine we train to work by its own. Yes, right. Aiko is saying simulation of human intelligence processes by machines. Correct. When machines display human-like intelligence, machines programmed to act like humans. Each computer then develops its own intelligence based on that. That all depends upon one thing, which is data. That's all about what kind of data we are actually feeding that machine. It's all depends upon the training and the testing of the machines, right? So when machine get to learn about the patterns and ultimately वो और smartly work करने लग जाती है. Okay, great. So, moving to the next slide, we are here at the attributes of threat actors. What kind of attributes these threat actors would possess? Just a second. Okay. Now, when we discussed about the threat actors, that could be internal or external, that could be a person or a thing, right? So the first part, which is given, known threat versus adversary behaviors. Now, see, there could be two types of threat. One is the known threat, and one could be the unknown, or depending upon the adversary behavior. So, talking about cybersecurity techniques, earlier they were highly dependent on the identification of static, or we can say the known threats. And the threats could be like any virus, trojans, botnets, specific software vulnerabilities could be a threat. So it is relatively straightforward to identify, scan for these types of threats with automated software. We have antivirus, uh, quite many antivirus softwares, and for the various software vulnerabilities we can update, do that patch, patch management, debugging can be performed, and these things can be identified and scanned with some automated software. But unfortunately there are various adversaries as well that were able to develop means of circumventing this type of signature based scanning. Now, there could be some unknown threats which we are not aware of, but they actually arises from somewhere in the system itself. So the sophisticated nature of this modern cybersecurity threats means that it is important to be able to describe and analyze the behaviors. So one is the known threats that could be any, like very well known virus, worms, trojans, rootkits, any botnets. So then there are adversary behaviors depending upon the patterns, you know, which there are various behaviors through which we can identify that this is basically leading to threat to the vulnerabilities, right? So this kind of analysis involve like identifying the attributes of threat actors, how we can identify in terms of location, in terms of intention, and in terms of capability as well. How exactly this is behaving, in which manner it is going, whether it's going in some malicious intentions or something like that, what kind of capabilities it has. So that thing can be referred as this adversary behaviors. Then the next part, the attribute of threat actor, is internal or external. Now, from the name itself, we can easily, you know, understand this particular term. Internal, external में क्या होगा, है ना? External threat actor. Whenever I'll be using threat actor term, इसका एक और term है which is threat agent. ठीक है? यहाँ threat actor लिखा हुआ है, but threat agent is the similar term which is being used for threat actor only. Okay, guys? So whether I'll be using threat actor, threat agent, so I'm referring same one and the same thing only. It's just that it has two different names. So the external threat actor or the agent, that could be any person or the entity which is responsible for an event that has been identified as a security incident or as a risk. So is one that has no account or authorized access to the target system. The person is not a part of the organization. He or she has no account or any kind of authorization or to the target system on which the attack is being performed, right? So a malicious external threat must infiltrate the security system using some malware, social engineering. And if we talk about the internal threat, so that is someone who has granted permissions on the system. And one who has this authorization to the organization system is one who is part of the organization, right? As I always tell you, कि सबसे dangerous होते हैं internal threats. Those are the employees, है ना? But insider threat can also rise from any contractors or the business partners. वो भी insider threats हो सकते हैं जिनके साथ एक organization का जो है collaboration है, tie-up है, जो business partners हो गए और जो contractors हैं जिनके पास access है उस organization का in one or some other manner. Is it clear to everyone out there? The first two part, the first two attributes of threat actors. Guys, please acknowledge so that we can move forward. Yes, right? टर्म से आपको क्लियर हो जाना चाहिए, मतलब आप टर्म्स के थ्रू ही समझ लो इस चीज को, इंटरनल क्या होता है, एक्सटर्नल क्या होता है, और इंटरनल में सिर्फ एम्प्लॉयज को नहीं इसमें हम ले सकते, कोई भी हो सकते हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स भी हो सकते हैं, बिजनेस पार्टनर्स भी हो सकते हैं, जिनको देखो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बारे में ज्यादा नॉलेज होगी, आइडिया होगा, तो वो तो बहुत बहुत अच्छे से अटैक कर सकते हैं सोचा जाए, एज कम्पेयर टू द एक्सटर्नल वन who do not have authorized access to the target system जिस पे भी उन्होंने अटैक करना है. Then we have intent and motivation. अब देखो intent क्या होता है? Basically the intentions, and from where they have got the motivation and so on. Intent describe what an attacker hopes to achieve from the attack. What exactly the intentions of the attacker or the hacker is. इस particular attack को करके उन्होंने क्या achieve करना है. While motivation is the attacker's reason for perpetrating that attack. क्या रीजन था, कहाँ से मोटिवेशन आई, क्या मोटिवेशन रही है कि ये अटैक करने की. इज इट क्लियर? टर्म्स, जस्ट गेटिंग इनटू द टर्म्स. इंटेंट क्या हो सकता है कि वो अटैकर क्या होप करता है कि वो क्या अचीव कर सकते हैं इस अटैक से, और मोटिवेशन इज बेसिकली किस रीजन से, कहाँ से उसको वो कारण मिला है कि उसने अटैक परफॉर्म करना है. सो malicious threat actor could be motivated by greed, लालच हो सकता है किसी चीज का, क्यूरियोसिटी, और सम सॉर्ट ऑफ ग्रीवेंस, फॉर इंस्टेंस किसी भी चीज का वो बदला भी लेना चाह सकता है, कुछ ऐसा भी हो सकता है. The intent could be to vandalize and disrupt the system or to steal something, है ना? ऐसी इंटेंशंस भी हो सकती हैं कि उन्होंने डिसरप्ट करना सिस्टम को या फिर उन्होंने कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन जो है उसको स्टील करना है. So threats can be categorized as structured or unstructured, or we can say targeted versus opportunity. Yeah. So that all depends upon the degree to which your organization is targeted specifically, right? So that could be accidental, unintentional, and see, if there is any criminal gang attempting to steal customers' financial data, and that is structured, एक targeted threat है, उनको पता है कि criminal gang को क्या करना है, उन्होंने steal करना है customer का financial data. So a script kiddie launching some variant on the I love you email worm that is unstructured, that is a kind of threat which is there to gain the opportunity regarding the same. So malicious intents, motivations, इनको हम कैसे contrast कर सकते हैं regarding accidental, unintentional threat actors and agents. So unintentional threat actors कौन से होते हैं? They represent some kind of accidents. किसी कोई mistake की वजह से कोई attack हुआ है, कोई ऐसा नजरअंदाज हो गया, कुछ ऐसी vulnerability थी जो exploit हो गई, जो accidentally exploit हो गई है. So they do not carry some kind of malicious intentions. Is it clear to everyone out there? Then in attributes, at last we have level of sophistication. Now, in this level of sophistication, or we can say the capability and resources or the funding. So you must also consider the sophistication on the level of resources or the funding the different adversaries might possesses. जो भी threats हैं वो किस तरह के जो है sophistication level of resources funding वो क्या possess कर रहे हैं. So basically the capability refers to the threat actor's ability. Capability क्या होती है कि उस threat actor की क्या ability है कि वो novel exploit techniques और tools को craft कर सके. किस तरह से उसने टेक्निक्स और टूल्स यूज करनी है एक्सप्लॉइट करने के लिए कि उसकी कितनी की कैपेबिलिटी उस थ्रेट एक्टर की. So जो least capable threat actor होगा that relies on commodity attack tools which are widely available on the web or the dark web, है ना, जो least capable होगा. जो ज्यादा capable होंगे they can fashion zero day exploit in operating system, some application software, some kind of embedded control system. So at the highest level जो threat actor होगा, जो बहुत ही advanced threat actor है, a threat actor might make use of non-cyber tools that could be some political, military assets as well. So capability कहाँ से निकलती है? It's only funded through a substantial budget. कोई ना कोई budget ऐसा होता है जहाँ से इनकी funding होती है. So sophisticated threat actor groups need to be able to acquire resources. They require some kind of resources such as customized attack tools. कुछ ना कुछ इनको attack tools चाहिए होते हैं, skilled strategists चाहिए होते हैं, designers चाहिए, coders चाहिए, hackers भी चाहिए, social engineers भी चाहिए. The most capable threat actor group receive funding from nation sites and criminal syndicates. जो इतने हाई लेवल पे जो होती हैं एडवर्सरी, जो बिल्कुल अननोन थ्रेड्स भी एक्सप्लॉइट हो जाते हैं, तो मतलब वो कैपेबिलिटी लेवल्स उनका नेशनल लेवल तक होता है. तो उनको कहीं ना कहीं से फंडिंग होती है जिसके थ्रू वो रिसोर्सेज कैपेबिलिटीज को अपने यूज कर सकते हैं. सो दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस लेवल ऑफ सोफिस्टिकेशन. किस तरह के एक्टर्स थ्रेट एक्टर्स हैं, whether they are at some the least capable actors, some more capable, or the highest level, most capable, we can say, actors, threat actors. Is it clear to everyone out there? Please have a look at this current slide of attributes of threat actors. You must be clear with these 4 points, which are there. One is known threats versus adversary behaviors, then internal, external, then intent, motivation, then level of sophistication. Let me know if you all are clear with this. I believe everyone is clear, but I received acknowledgement just from Nancy, Ganesh, and Aiko. What about others? All right, guys. So we are good to move to the next slide. It's all about hackers, script kiddies, and activists. So, um, how many of you are clear with hackers? What exactly, who exactly hackers are? What are the different types, categories of hackers? Yes, Manish. So, if we talk about hackers, so the hacker term often used to refer to someone who breaks into the computer system, spread viruses, and so on. Hacker नाम सुनते ही मतलब सबसे पहले this is the thing which comes to our mind, right? So, ethical hackers prefer to think of themselves as experts on and explorers of computer security system. So, hacker basically describes an individual who has the skills to gain access to computer system. कुछ भी कहो, white hat है, black hat है, grey hat है, बट वो ऐसे शख्स हैं, दे आर दोज इंडिविजुअल्स who has this kind of skills to gain access to computer system through unauthorized or unapproved means, right? हैकिंग का मतलब यही, हैकर का मतलब बेसिकली यही हो गया कि उनकी इतनी स्किल्स हैं कि वो किसी भी सिस्टम को अनऑथराइज्ड एंड अप्रूव्ड मींस में फिर भी उसका एक्सेस गेन कर सकते हैं, है ना? So originally, hacker was a neutral term for a user who excelled at computer programming, computer system administration. So initially, एक neutral सा term था hacker. Hacking into a system was a sign of technical skill and creativity that gradually become associated with some illegal, malicious system intrusions. Initially, जब hacking start हुई थी, तो ये बड़ा ही एक अच्छा साइन था, न्यूट्रल टर्म था, जो कि एक टेक्निकल स्किल, एक पर्सन की क्रिएटिविटी को जो है डिपिक्ट करता था। लेकिन ग्रेजुअली व्हाट हैपेंस कि ये जो हैकर्स हैं, ये इलीगल मॉलिशियस सिस्टम इंट्रूशंस में जो है दे बिकम एसोसिएटेड, राइट? देन वी गेट इन टच विद द टर्म ब्लैक हैट। वो कौन होते हैं ब्लैक हैट? कोई भी अनऑथराइज्ड हैकर ऑपरेटिंग हैकर ऑपरेटिंग विद सम मॉलिशियस इंटेंट, है ना? Then we have white hat hacker who is engaged in authorized penetration testing. Penetration testing is basically exploiting the vulnerability of the system. ठीक है? So, or some other security consultancies, but the thing is they are associated with some kind of organization. So these are used to distinguish their motivations. अब उनके टर्म से ब्लैक हैट, व्हाइट हैट, ग्रे हैट, इधर इनसे इनकी मोटिवेशंस जो है डिस्टिंग्विश हो सकती है इजीली, in which manner they are actually working. Now, of course, there is between black and white, like some shades of gray is also there. जो semi authorized होता है, ग्रे हैट हैकर कौन सा होता है? Hacker who analyzes the networks without seeking authorization, as I told you earlier, but without overtly, malicious intent. कोई malicious intent नहीं होता, लेकिन वो Dikshit, grey hat hackers are those which get access to the system in an unauthorized manner. लेकिन उनका कोई भी malicious intent नहीं होता, so they do not harm the system. ब्लैक हैट का तो इंटेंशन ही malicious होता है ना? व्हाइट हैट के पास एक्सेस होता है, ऑथराइज्ड पर्सन होते हैं वो सब जो है सिक्योरिटी कंसल्टेंसीज के लिए काम करते हैं। ग्रे हैट ऑथराइज्ड नहीं होते हैं, अनऑथराइज्ड अनअप्रूव्ड मैनर में एक्सेस गेन करते हैं सिस्टम का, लेकिन कोई इनका मलिशियस इंटेंट नहीं होता। यस, वी कैन से एक्सपेरिमेंटल पर्पसेस, बट दिस इज समथिंग आई वुड से, अगर आप they are there to, they might uh, try to find some vulnerabilities in a product network without seeking the approval of the owner. Like if you are the owner, आपकी परमिशन के बिना कोई व्हाइट हैट ग्रे हैट हैकर ऐसे ही आपकी वल्नरेबिलिटीज को चेक कर रहा है, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं तो गलत हुआ ना। बट लेकिन उसने चेक किया है कि आपकी क्या वल्नरेबिलिटीज हैं आपके अप्रूवल के बिना, लेकिन वो कोई एक्सप्लॉइट नहीं कर रहा। अगर उसको वल्नरेबिलिटी मिल गई, उसको एक्सप्लॉइट नहीं करेगा। They are not there to exploit the vulnerabilities if they find any. So the gray hat, they can work like they might seek some voluntary compensation of some sort, like big bounty, but will not use and exploit as extortion. तो वो बिल्कुल harm करने वाले उस वे में नहीं जाएंगे। White hat hacker always seek authorization to perform penetration testing of private or proprietary system. Yes, they do not have any wrong intentions, right, Dikshit? So on the slide itself, it's written the lone hackers like white hat versus black hat versus gray hat. अब इनमें से can you please tell me who are authorized, who are non-authorized, and who are semi-authorized? Guys, please differentiate these three types. कौन authorized है, कौन non-authorized है, कौन semi-authorized है? Yes. Okay, I'll clear your doubt, Dikshit. White hat are authorized, black non-authorized, gray semi-authorized. Now, gray are semi-authorized because, see, they might they might not try to exploit any vulnerability they find in any product or the network, but they might seek some voluntary compensation of some sort, and they will not use and exploit as extortion. So they, in a manner, they get some kind of authorization from the organization for the compensation purpose or something like that. Is it clear, Dikshit, and to everyone out there? They're non-paid testers, but they ask for some kind of compensation of some sort. अब डिपेंड करता है आगे से इनको compensation मिलती है नहीं मिलती है. Then we have script kiddies. Have you ever heard of this term, script kiddies? Yes, that all depends upon the yes, organization will pay them off. So these are basically, if we talk about script kiddies, any inexperienced, unskilled attacker that typically uses some kind of tools or scripts created by others. अब कोई ऐसा टूल, कोई ऐसी स्क्रिप्ट मिल गई उनको अ, जो किसी और ने क्रिएट की है, हालांकि वो इनएक्सपीरियंस्ड है, अनस्किल्ड है, लेकिन उनके अंदर इतनी क्यूरियोसिटी होती है दैट दे हैव टू यूज दैट टूल और स्क्रिप्ट. So script kiddie is someone who uses hacker tools without necessarily understanding how they work or having the ability to craft any new attacks. So they don't have much hacking skills, yes, right? Just do it for fun using some basic tools already available on internet. Yes, mature hackers. So inexperienced, unskilled attackers. So they might have no specific target. उनके पास कोई टारगेट भी नहीं हो सकता है और any responsible goal other than gaining attention, proving technical abilities. कईयों को होता है कोई मतलब कि हमें अपनी टेक्निकल एबिलिटीज प्रूव करनी है, हम ये हैक करके दिखाएं, ऐसा करें. तो दे बेसिकली दे आर इनएक्सपीरियंस अनस्किल्ड अटैकर्स. वो खुद से कोई नए अटैक्स क्राफ्ट नहीं करते हैं क्योंकि उनमें कोई इतनी एबिलिटी नहीं है क्राफ्ट करने की. And without even understanding how these tools work, जो वो hacker tools techniques use a manual. I'm sorry, Dikshit, but if you are trying to say, it would be great if you can be more precise in it. So, is it clear to everyone? Script PD कौन होते हैं? So, user manual is something else. Script अलग चीज होती है. क्या बात कर रहे हैं बच्चे? All right. So, are you all clear with this? Okay, Dikshit. Are you all clear with script kiddies, guys? आई बिलीव आप में से कोई स्क्रिप्ट किडी नहीं है या कोई है. यस, एनीवन? यू आर चिरायु. ओके. ठीक है, जरा ध्यान से. The next part we have hacker teams and hacktivists. Now, hacker teams, the historical image of hacker is that of a loner acting as an individual with few resources or funding. अगर हम लोनर हैकर मतलब टर्म यूज करते हैं, while any such loner hacker, they remain a threat that must be accounted. जो थ्रेट एक्टर्स होते हैं, they are now likely to work as a part of some team or group. अब हैकर्स की भी टीम बनने लगी है, उनके भी कोई ग्रुप्स बनने लगे हैं. So collaborative team effort means that these type of threat actors are able to develop sophisticated tools and novel strategies. ठीक है, with their collaboration with their team, वो टीम एफर्ट से कोई ऐसे टूल्स, ऐसे इस तरह के थ्रेट एक्टर्स जो हैं, they are able to develop some sophisticated tools and novel strategies. और hacktivists क्या होते हैं? That could be any such as any anonymous WikiLeaks or some kind of those who uses some cyber weapons to promote a political agenda. A community which to do for social like anonymous and WikiLeaks. Yes. So hacktivists basically वो threat actors ही होते हैं that is motivated by a social issue or political cause, जिनका कोई political cause से या social issue से motivate हुए, तो उनकी motivation basically वहां से है. So hacktivists might attempt to obtain and release confidential information to the public domain. अब अगर आपकी confidential information steal हो गई है, they will be able to obtain it और उसको फिर वो further public domain पे release कर देंगे. And they can perform DOS attacks as well. Have you ever heard of DOS attack? Denial of service? Yes, right? Where the availability is breached, basically. The authorized person is not able to fetch information that is मतलब इतना वो सर्वर पे लोड आ जाता है कि वो सर्विसेज को डिनाई करने लगता है. And they can deface the website. कोई political media, financial groups या companies, they are probably at risk. But environmental, animal advocacy groups may target companies in a wide range of industries. So एक्टिविस्ट में बेसिकली कोई ऐसी मोटिवेशन रहती है, कोई सोशल इशू या पॉलिटिकल कॉज की. तो ये थोड़े अलग लेवल के होंगे. ठीक है. Is it clear to everyone out there regarding hackers, script kiddies, hacker teams, and hacktivists? I believe this slide is pretty clear. Okay, guys. So if you have to explain uh, a threat actor, what will you explain in this particular term? Threat actor कौन होते हैं? Guys, who are threat actors or threat agents? Please tell me. Oh, I'm asking both. Threat actors or threat agents, Vivek? Who intended to harm cybersecurity? Unauthorized person who breaches the one's data without permission. Okay. Threat actor or threat agent could be a person only. That could not be any entity or anything. Please tell. Team also. That could be any entity or any particular thing as well. Guys, reply, please. I can see 79 attendees in this class and I'm getting just 3 to 4 responses. That's not enough. It can be a person, a team, or organization. Okay. Anyone else? Guys, my question is, who are threat actors or threat agents? And I want maximum participation in this session. Please reply. Are you all aware of who are threat actors, threat agents? Say yes or no. Person or thing contributing in causing a threat. Yes. बच्चे आप क्लियर तो हो ना जो ये हम टर्म्स यूज कर रहे हैं. So that can be any person, entity which is responsible for an event that has been identified as a security incident or as a risk. Who are causes for threats and who are giving security to threats. Sorry, Kartike, I'm not able to understand what exactly you have written over here. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now we'll be studying about state actors and advanced persistent threats. Now, who is intended to cause harm? Shirai, regarding what threat actor, threat agents are you asking me? Earlier, when I explained you this topic, everyone was pretty clear. When I asked you the question, now that you are having doubt, which part you would like me to repeat? Please tell. I will repeat. Threat actors. Now, see, threat actors and threat agents. These two terms can be used interchangeably, right? So that could be any person or any entity which is responsible for an event. And when we talk about any event, so that could be anything like which or any incident that is identified as a security incident, or we can say where security is on the verge of getting breached or as a risk. So जिस चीज का रिस्क होता है कि सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच हो जाएगी, वल्नरेबिलिटी एक्सप्लॉइट हो जाएगी, जो भी पर्सन या एंटिटी रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगी इस चीज के लिए, दैट कुड बी थ्रेट एक्टर और एजेंट through which the exploit the vulnerability is exploited, your security is breached. Is it clear now, Chirayu Kapoor? Okay. So now we can discuss about the next part, which is basically regarding the state actors and advanced persistent threats, right? So, most nation states, they have developed cybersecurity expertise, and they will use some cyber weapons to achieve both military and commercial goals as well. Regarding hackers, Sagar, in the last slide, we have studied about three types only. Can someone please tell which three types we have studied about? Whenever hackers, any question about hackers will come up, we'll have those three types only. Can someone please tell in the message, this chat box, what kind of three types we have studied about in hackers? Yes, that's white, black, and gray. है ना? ये तीन types पढ़ी है. Apart from hackers, we have studied about script kiddies, hacker groups, and hacktivists. Yes, guys. I hope it's clear to you, Sagar. Okay, great. So the term advanced persistent threat, basically APT, so that is basically an attacker's ability to obtain, maintain, and diversify access to network system using exploits and malware. So this APT was coined to understand the behavior which is underpinning the modern types of cyber adversaries. Now, rather than think in terms of systems being infected with virus, trojans, क्योंकि बेसिकली जब भी हम किसी ऐसे अटैक थ्रेट की बात आती है तो वायरस ट्रोजन्स पहले आ जाते हैं माइंड में. सो जो एपीटी है, एडवांस persistent threat, which is basically referring to the ongoing ability of an adversary, क्या ऑनगोइंग एबिलिटी है किसी एडवर्सिटी कि वो नेटवर्क सिक्योरिटी को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करे. एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट नेटवर्क सिक्योरिटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो रही है टू ऑब्टेन एंड मेंटेन दी एक्सेस, कि उन्होंने कोई ऐसा एक्सेस ऑब्टेन कर लिया और उसको मेंटेन कर रहे हैं यूजिंग वेराइटी ऑफ टूल्स एंड टेक्निक्स, राइट. सो दिस इज बेसिकली which is being covered in advanced persistent threats. ठीक है. In state backed groups, that could be any attached to military, secret services, highly sophisticated, as I told you, कि जो नेशनल लेवल पे होते हैं, जो साइबर सिक्योरिटी एक्सपर्ट है या फिर साइबर सिक्योरिटी वेपन्स यूज होते हैं, जो मिलिट्री कमर्शियल गोल्स को अचीव करने के लिए यूज किए जाते हैं. ठीक है. सो coming up to the next part, which is state actors. So that could be any type of threat actor. अब अब तक हमने threat actor के बारे में पढ़ा था. Now there is a term state actor. So state actor क्या रहता है? So that could be any threat actor that is supported by the resources of its host countries, military and security services. उसको resources कहाँ से मिल रहे हैं? वो एक state actor है, तो उसको रिसोर्सेज उसकी जो है जिस जिस भी वो कंट्री का है ना, उसकी होस्ट कंट्री जो है उसके मिलिट्री सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज से रिसोर्सेज गेन कर रहा है. So state actors have been implicated in many attacks, particularly on energy, health network system. So basically इनका गोल क्या रहता है state actors का? To primarily estimate and strategic advantage, but not unknown for countries like North Korea being a good example to target companies purely for commercial gain, right? Is it clear to everyone out there? Now, this is the screenshot which is attached on this current slide. Yes, guys, so my session was reconnecting. I'm back. I believe my screen is visible and I'm completely audible. Okay, great. So till what part I was audible, Bache? Because I was continuously speaking and I like got that sound. मेरा session पे connect हो रहा है. Please tell me what was the last part which I discussed. Anyone? Okay, yes. Regarding the screenshot attached. So in this particular screenshot, which is from FireEye, uh, yeah, in the screenshot itself, we can see that this is the page list and briefly describe the items under threat intelligence. So that is basically the attack groups. And in threat intelligence, there are various technologies as well which are there. You know? So So researchers such as FireEye report on the activities of organized crime, nation state actors. So that's pretty clear in the screenshot itself. And when we talk about the state actors, so they will work at arm's length from the national government, military, security services that sponsors and protects them actually. So maintaining this plausible deniability, they're likely to pose as independent groups or even as activists. So they may wage any false flag campaigns that try to implicate other states as well. So, are you all clear with this? State actors and advanced persistent threats, everyone? Guys, please acknowledge if you all are clear so that we can switch to the next slide. And if you're clear, then can someone please tell who are actually state actors? Who are state actors? Please tell. But what's your understanding about state actors? Please tell me. Not exactly hackers will say अब state actors की बात हो रही है हम उसे threat actors ही बोलेंगे है ना threat actors. Okay, who work for governments, who work for the country. Okay, what else? State actors जो term है वो threat actors से ही निकली है. It's just that जिनका फंडिंग का जो रहता है जो होस्ट कंट्रीज की मिलिट्री सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज है वहां से होती है उनका सपोर्ट. So they are the type of threat actors that is supported by the resources of its host countries, military and security services. We can also refer them as nation state actors, right? Then we have criminal syndicates and competitors. Guys, we'll be continuing with this topic, with this slide by next 10 minutes, maybe. Let's have 10 minutes breather. If you all are fine with it, we'll connect back at 11:35. I believe you all want break for 10 minutes. right? So make sure you get back in 10 minutes. We'll connect back at 11:35, at sharp 11:35. Please have your breather. Yes, guys, are you all back? Everyone? Okay, great. So we left at this slide criminal syndicates and competitors. So, what is exactly happening? These days, in many countries, cybercrime has overtaken physical crime, like both in terms of number of incidents and losses. Do you all agree on this part? That these days, in many countries, cyber crimes are actually overtaking physical crime. You know, they have increased in a huge number. So, do you all agree on this? Everyone out there? Yes, no, maybe. Say something. You know, the more access we have to the cyberspace, we are, connecting online on a daily basis. Cyber crimes are actually overtaking physical crime. Like if we talk about it, the number of incidents, losses, and when we talk about this side, criminal syndicate. Now, criminal syndicate is any type of threat actor that uses hacking, right? And a computer fraud for commercial gain. So a criminal syndicate can operate across the internet from different jurisdiction than its victim, increasing the complexity of prosecution. So it's basically any type of threat actor जो कि hacking से computer fraud से commercial gain जो है करता है for this particularly commercial gain. Now, syndicates will seek any opportunity for criminal profit. जो syndicates होते हैं वो criminal profit के लिए कोई ना कोई opportunity देखते रहते हैं. But typically activities are financial fraud and that could happen, against both individuals, companies, and there could be various extortion happening. So it's all about criminal syndicates which operates across legal jurisdiction, which is motivated by criminal profit and can be very well resourced and funded. And when we talk about competitors, now most competitor driven espionage is a thought to be pursued by state actors because they are actually working for a nation and they are being provided by various resources funding भी इनको government की तरफ से है, but it's not inconceivable that a rogue business might use cyber espionage against its competitors. Now, the thing is, such attacks could aim at theft or at disrupting the competitor's business. ऐसे कोई attacks जो कि competitor के business को disrupt करना है, उनकी reputation को जो है destroy करना है, that would harm the damage their reputation. So, competitor attack might be facilitated by employees who have recently changed companies and bring an element of insider knowledge with them. अब कोई एम्प्लॉय जिसने दिस इज बेसिकली साइबर एस्पियोनेज जिसमें जो किसी कंपनी की रेपुटेशन को डैमेज करना है, कॉम्पिटिटर के बिजनेस को डिस्टर्ब करने वाली इंटेंशंस होती हैं. सो हियर इट इज रिटन कंबाइंड विद इनसाइडर थ्रेट. हाउ इट इज कंबाइंड? कोई भी ऐसा एम्प्लॉय जिसने अभी रिसेंटली कंपनी चेंज की है और उसके and he or she carries enough knowledge with them regarding the company which they have left. तो उसको उस अपनी नॉलेज को उस एलिमेंट को यूज करके इनसाइडर नॉलेज को यूज करके वो कंबाइन कर सकते हैं इसमें कॉम्पिटिटर्स में, राइट? इज इट क्लियर टू एवरीवन आउट देयर? Yes. And when we talk about insider threat actors, as that is basically देखो अगर वो threat actors हैं वो insider हैं तो वो malicious भी हैं. Malicious insider threat भी हो सकता है which has or has had authorized access. या तो उनके पास अभी है या फिर उनके पास पहले एक authorized access था जिन्होंने रिसेंटली कंपनी चेंज की है. वो कौन हो सकते हैं? वो एम्प्लॉयज भी हो सकते हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स भी हो सकते हैं, पार्टनर्स भी हो सकते हैं. दैट कुड हैपन टू सैबोटेज फाइनेंशियल गेन, business advantage could happen. So many threat actors which operate externally from the networks they target. ज्यादातर जो थ्रेट एक्टर्स होते हैं वो एक्सटर्नली होते हैं. वो कहाँ से ऑपरेट करते हैं? एक्सटर्नली फ्रॉम द नेटवर्क जिसको उन्होंने टारगेट किया होता है. एंड अगर हम एक्सटर्नल थ्रेट एक्टर की बात करते हैं, दे हैव टू ब्रेक इनटू द सिस्टम विदाउट हैविंग बीन ग्रांटेड एनी लेजिटिमेट परमिशन। उनके पास कोई लेजिटिमेट परमिशन नहीं होती, उन्होंने जो भी करना है अनऑथोराइज इनएप्रोप्रिएट मैनर में करना है। लेकिन अगर हम इनसाइडर थ्रेट की बात करें, जो थ्रेट जिसके पास थ्रेट एक्टर जिसके पास कुछ प्रिविलेजेस असाइंड है सिस्टम की, है ना, जिसकी वजह से दैट कॉजेज एन इंटेंशनल अनइंटेंशनल इंसिडेंट हो सकता है थ्रू दोज प्रिविलेजेस व्हिच आर असाइंड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर थ्रेट एक्टर। So जो insider threat है that arises from an actor who has been identified by the organization और उसके पास कुछ sort of accesses की permission भी है, they have some granted some sort of accesses. So within this group of internal threats, you can distinguish internal insiders with permanent privileges. That could be employees, that could be from the insider with temporary privileges. Temporary privileges में कौन हो सकते हैं? Contractors हो सकते हैं, कोई guest हो सकते हैं जिनके पास टेम्परेरी एक्सेस होते हैं, और परमानेंट जो डेली एम्प्लॉयज हैं उनके एम्प्लॉयज हो सकते हैं, राइट? दीज आर बेसिकली द थ्रेट इनसाइडर थ्रेट्स। नाउ अनइंटेंशनल इनसाइडर थ्रेट्स में क्या आ सकते हैं? दैट कुड बी द वीक पॉलिसीज लाइक हियर इट इज रिटन। अब पहले अगर हम इनसाइडर थ्रेट्स की बात करें, यू मस्ट बी क्लियर कि करंट और फॉर्मर एम्प्लॉय जो होता है, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर होते हैं, जो बिजनेस पार्टनर होते हैं, जिसके पास अभी है या पहले था ऑथराइज्ड एक्सेस किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के नेटवर्क का, किसी सिस्टम का, और वी कैन से डेटा का, एंड इंटेंशनली दे हैव एक्सीडेड, अगर कोई प्रिविलेज है उसको एक्सीड करना, मिस यूज करना उस एक्सेस को इन अ मैनर दैट नेगेटिवली अफेक्ट द कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, इंटीग्रिटी, अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इंफॉर्मेशन और इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम, जो CIA हम प्रिंसिपल कहते हैं किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के इंफॉर्मेशन इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम का होता है, उसको नेगेटिवली अगर कुछ अफेक्ट करता है तो वो इनसाइडर थ्रेट होगा इफ इट इज हैपनिंग फ्रॉम एनी एम्प्लॉय, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर और बिजनेस पार्टनर, राइट? सो as it is written कि इनकी मेन मोटिवेशंस क्या रहती हैं? द मेन मोटिवेटर्स फॉर malicious insiders are threats as sabotage, financial gain, business advantage. Now see, like external threats, insider threats can be opportunistic, targeted. उनको जैसी कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी, जैसी कोई टारगेट बनता होगा तो वैसे ही वो अटैक कर देंगे। अगेन द की पॉइंट हियर इज टू आइडेंटिफाई लाइकली मोटिवेशन कि एम्प्लॉयज जो हैं दे मस्ट हार्बर सम ग्रीवेंसेस। क्या कारण है कि वो जो ये फ्रॉड कर रहे हैं, जिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में वो काम कर रहे हैं, व्हाई दे आर डूइंग सो। An employee who plans and executes a campaign to modify the invoices, diverts funds, is launching a structured attack. जो सारा उसने प्लान करके कोई अटैक परफॉर्म किया है तो वो स्ट्रक्चर्ड अटैक होगा। बल्कि अगर कोई एम्प्लॉय हु ट्राइज टू गेट द पासवर्ड ऑन द सैलरी डेटाबेस a couple of times, having noticed the files is available on the network, कि वो they are trying to gain some opportunity for the same attack. So you must also assess the possibility that an insider threat may be working in collaboration with an external threat actor or group. ऐसा भी हो सकता है जो इंसाइडर थ्रेट ने कोई एक्सटर्नल थ्रेट एक्टर या ग्रुप से जो है कोलैबोरेशन कर रखी है, जिसके लिए वो अंदर अंदर से डेटा चुरा के बाहर दे रहे हैं। समथिंग लाइक दिस कुड हैपन, है ना? लेकिन जो इनसाइडर थ्रेट हैं उन वो जरूरी नहीं कि वो हमेशा मॉलिशियस ही होंगे, इंटेंशनली होंगे। जैसे एक टाइप में इन्होंने यहाँ एक्सप्लेन किया मॉलिशियस इनसाइडर थ्रेट, तो उसमें क्या आ गया? अब नेक्स्ट वी नीड टू स्टडी अबाउट अनइंटेंशनल इनसाइडर थ्रेट, जो बिल्कुल अनइंटेंशनल परफॉर्म हो रहे हैं। दिस इज द नेक्स्ट कैटेगरी ऑफ द अदर कैटेगरी ऑफ इनसाइडर थ्रेट। जो अनइंटेंशनल इनएडवर्रेंट जो इंसाइडर थ्रेट होते हैं, जिसमें दे कॉज द वल्नरेबिलिटी और एक्सपोजेस द अटैक वेक्टर विदाउट मॉलिशियस इंटेंट, जहां उनकी कोई मॉलिशियस इंटेंशंस नहीं होती हैं, वो अनइंटेंशनल हो गया, है ना? सो दैट इज बेसिकली अ वेक्टर फॉर द एक्सटर्नल एक्टर और सम सेपरेट मॉलिशियस, so internal actor to exploit rather than the threat actor in its own right. So unintentional threat क्या होता है? Usually arises from lack of awareness, careless केयरलेस है वो एम्प्लॉयज, केयरलेसनेस की वजह से हो गया, सच एज यूजर डेमोन्स्ट्रेटिंग पुअर पासवर्ड मैनेजमेंट। और कुछ ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि इनसाइडर थ्रेट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ शैडो आईडी, जो कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर है, सॉफ्टवेयर है, सर्विसेज है, these are being used on a private network without authorization from the system owner. where user purchase or introduce the computer hardware software to the workplace without the sanction of IT department, without going through procurement or we can say the security analysis processes. अपना वो डिवाइस लेके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के नेटवर्क को यूज कर रहे हैं, उस पे रन कर रहे हैं. So the problem of shadow IT is basically, by the basically happen through like cloud services, mobile devices, which are easy for users to obtain. Now, shadow IT creates a new unmonitored attack surface for malicious adversaries to exploit. कोई ऐसा भी अटैक सर्फेस एक हो गया, वो अपना सिस्टम लेके आए, अपने मोबाइल डिवाइस को यूज कर रहे हैं या अपने सिस्टम को यूज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसको आईटी वाले जो है ट्रैक नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. सो दिस इज समथिंग लाइक अनइंटेंशनल में आ जाता है, लाइक वीक पॉलिसीज प्रोसीजर्स, वीक एडहेरेंस टू पॉलिसीज प्रोसीजर्स, द लैक ऑफ ट्रेनिंग, सिक्योरिटी अवेयरनेस, केयरलेसनेस एंड shadow IT. So are you all clear with this insider threat actors in both the manners, malicious and unintentional? Yes, guys, are you all clear? Please acknowledge if you're clear with the points which are available on the screen. Unintentional may there are 4 points. Unintentional is self-explanatory term, just make employee की carelessness की वजह से, उसकी lack of training की वजह से ये अटैक होना. So इसमें which point you would like me to repeat? शेडो आईटी. ओके, शेडो आईटी में क्या होता है? जो कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर है, सॉफ्टवेयर है, सर्विसेज है, which are being used on private network without authorization from the system owner. Now इसमें क्या है, जहाँ यूजर्स परचेज कर लेते हैं कि अपना कोई कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर वर्क प्लेस पे ले आते हैं, like if I bring my own device to my workplace without sanction of the IT department and without going through a procurement or security analysis process, है ना? तो उसमें क्या होता है, प्रॉब्लम क्या आती है, is the that is basically the exacerbated by the proliferation of the cloud services, mobile devices, now which are easy for users to obtain. वो अपनी cloud services, mobile devices वो easily obtain कर लेते हैं, लेकिन shadow IT create a new unmonitored attack surface. एक नया attack surface ऐसा create हो जाता है, like there is a new connection, there is a new point जहाँ पे network access हो रहा है organization का, है ना? For some malicious adversaries to exploit. So basically, whenever you bring any device to your workplace, your own personal device, you have to go through sanction to the get sanction it from the IT department, and you have to go through the security analysis processes. But if you miss those processes, then there could be a possibility of some unintentional insider threat may happen. Now, is it clear? Okay, great. Then we have this attack surface and vectors. Attack surface क्या होता है? The points at which a network या फिर application receives some external connection or some kind of input output which are potential vectors to be exploited by the threat actor. ऐसा कौन सा सर्फेस है जिसपे कोई भी थ्रेट एक्टर जो है अपना अटैक परफॉर्म कर सकता है, जो भी पोटेंशियल वेक्टर जो है दैट मे बी एक्सप्लॉइटेड. सो दैट कुड बी वेरियस पॉइंट्स. सो अटैक सर्फेस को बेसिकली हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि दिस इज ऑल द पॉइंट्स एट विच malicious threat actor could try to exploit a vulnerability. मतलब जितने पॉइंट्स होंगे उतना बड़ा अटैक सर्फेस होगा किसी भी अटैकर के लिए या फिर थ्रेट एक्टर के लिए, मॉलिशियस थ्रेट एक्टर टू बी प्रिसाइज, जहाँ पे वो अपनी जो है हमारी जो वल्नरेबिलिटी को एक्सप्लॉइट कर सकते हैं, है ना. So to evaluate the attack surface, you need to consider the type of threat actor. अब attack surface को evaluate करने के लिए, so basically attack surface is given points where an attacker can discover or exploit the vulnerabilities in the network or application. And there could be various points, है ना, जहाँ जहाँ भी malicious threat actor अपने जो है इसको try कर सकते हैं to exploit the vulnerabilities. Then coming to the evaluation part of the attack surface, you need to consider the type of threat actor. The attack surface for an external actor, that should be far smaller than that for the insider threat. जो insider threat है उसके comparison में external threat के लिए attack surface तो बहुत कम होगा, right? Do you all agree on this part? Yes, no, maybe. If we compare the insider threat actor, external threat actor, first of all, the external one, the attack surface could be far smaller than as compared to the insider threat. And the attack surface can be considered for a network as a whole, but is also analyzed for individual software applications as well. या तो पूरे कंप्लीट नेटवर्क को हम एक अटैक सर्फेस कंसीडर कर लें या फिर इंडिविजुअल एप्लीकेशंस को भी हम एक अटैक सर्फेस कंसीडर कर सकते हैं. So minimizing the attack surface means we are restricting access so that only a few known endpoints or some protocols, some ports, some services, methods are permitted. And each of these must be assessed for vulnerabilities. Here, then there are various things which are, various points provided over here regarding the attack vector. So from the point of view of threat actor, there could be very different parts of attack surface which represent potential attack vectors. Now, talking about attack vectors, attack vector होता क्या है? You must not be having any idea, है ना? Attack surface से समझ आ गया, जो parts, जो points available हैं, जिनको threat actor exploit कर सकते हैं, उनकी vulnerabilities को exploit कर सकते हैं. Now, attack vector, basically a specific path by which a threat actor gains unauthorized access to the system. किस तरह से एक जो threat actor ने unauthorized access gain किया है, through which path, right? So basically, this is a path that a threat actor uses to gain access to a secure system. Through which path the threat actor is actually gaining access in the network. Clear? So in the majority of cases, gaining access means being able to run some malicious code on the target. So अगर हम कहते हैं कि उसने access gain कर लिया, that means he or she, whoever the threat actor is, वो अपने desired task perform कर पा रहे हैं उसको. So basically, इसमें vectors में कौन-कौन से path उन्होंने दे रखे हैं? There could be direct access, there could be removable media, there could be email, remote and wireless, supply chain, web and social media, and at last we have cloud. So let's discuss each of these vectors which are available on the screen in a quite detailed manner. अब डायरेक्ट एक्सेस में क्या होगा? So this is a type of physical और local attack. डायरेक्ट एक्सेस उसने ले लिया, फिजिकली वो डायरेक्ट एक्सेस ले सकता है, फिजिकल और लोकल अटैक हो सकता है. So threat actor could exploit an unlocked workstation. कोई मैं अपना मान लो मैं अपना सिस्टम ऐसे अनलॉक छोड़ के चली गई, तो वहाँ अटैक को हो सकता है. जो भी malicious threat actor होगा वो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. They can use a bootstick to try to install malicious tools, steal a device, for example, right? Is it clear? Direct access, so that we can move to the next part. Removable media. Yes, no, maybe. रिमूवेबल मीडिया में क्या होगा, अटैकर कंसील्स मॉलवेयर ऑन द यूएसबी थंब ड्राइव, कोई मेमोरी कार्ड, मतलब कोई ऐसी पेन ड्राइव और समथिंग लाइक दिस कि जो रिमूवेबल होती है ना. सो एंड they try to trick employees into connecting the media to a PC, laptop, smartphone. Now, for some exploits, simply connecting the media may be sufficient to run the malware. जैसे इन्होंने पेन ड्राइव इंसर्ट की, that is sufficient. कई कई जो है exploits में ऐसा होता है कि malware अपना काम कर देगा. लेकिन in many cases, the attacker may need the employee to open a file in a vulnerable application or to run a setup program. ऐसा होता है कि या तो उनको application run करनी पड़ती है या file, whether it's image, text file, any other media, उसको open करना पड़ता है so that the malicious software can perform its task. ठीक है. So it's all about removable media through memory card, through USB thumb drive. कैसे वो जो है malicious software जो अपना ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं किसी एम्प्लॉय को. Then we have email. Now the attacker sends malicious file attachment via email. ऐसा होता है ना कि मेल में वायरस था, उस फाइल में वायरस था, तो malicious file attachment वो भेज देते हैं ईमेल के थ्रू या फिर कोई और कम्युनिकेशन मीडियम के थ्रू जिसमें कुछ अटैचमेंट्स होती हैं. तो विद द हेल्प ऑफ अटैचमेंट, so the attacker needs to use social engineering techniques to persuade or trick the user into opening the attachment. मतलब इतना उनको कन्विंसिंग सोशल इंजीनियरिंग टैक्टिक्स में क्या आता है, दे प्ले विद ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी एज वेल, कि उनको अपनी बातों में लेके आना सो दैट सामने वाला मजबूर हो जाए फाइल खोलने के लिए. इफ योर फ्रेंड इवन गिव्स यू अ पेन ड्राइव दैट दिस इज द न्यू गेम, लेट्स ट्राई इट आउट, मतलब ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, तो पेन ड्राइव इजीली इंसर्ट कर लोगे अपने सिस्टम में और आप सेटअप रन करोगे एंड इट विल परफॉर्म इट्स द टास्क जो भी इसकी इंटेंशंस है. अगर कोई आपका फ्रेंड आपको ईमेल कर रहा है तो ऑब्वियसली यू विल ओपन द फाइल, राइट. सो दैट ऑल डिपेंड्स, दे जस्ट नीड टू बी स्मार्ट इनफ कि वो इतनी टेक्निक्स यूज करें, ऐसा ट्रिक कर दें यूजर को कि वो अटैचमेंट को ओपन कर ले एंड जैसे ही वो ओपन करेंगे तो उसमें तो वैसे मॉलिशियस कोड अटैच था. Next is remote and wireless. Now the attacker either obtain credentials for a remote access, wireless connection to the network, or they can crack the security protocols which are being used for the authentication. कैसे वो remotely, wirelessly किसी access को gain करते हैं. So they can spoof a trusted resource such as access point, use it to perform credential harvesting, तो stolen account details को use करके access करेंगे network and so on. Yes, Wi-Fi. Sorry. Then we have supply chain. Supply chain में क्या होता है, जो अटैक है टारगेट की एंड टू एंड प्रोसेस ऑफ सप्लाई चेन में देयर इज अ प्रॉपर चेन, कैसे वो सप्लाई मैनेज हो रही है. एंड टू एंड प्रोसेस होता है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग का, हैंडलिंग गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. नाउ रेदर देन अटैक द टारगेट डायरेक्टली, थ्रेट एक्टर क्या करेगा, दे मे सीक वेज टू इनफिल्ट्रेट इट वाया कंपनीज इन इट्स सप्लाई चेन. उसकी सप्लाई चेन की कुछ कुछ उसमें पीकिंग करेगा डायरेक्टली टारगेट को एक्सेस करने से पहले. तो जो डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस हैं जो एंड टू एंड कनेक्टेड है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग, handling goods and so on. So we will go through that. Then we have web and social media. Malware that may be concealed in files which are attached to posts, ठीक है, और प्रेजेंटेड एज डाउनलोड्स या फिर कुछ ऐसे डाउनलोड्स आ रहे हैं आपके वेब पे, सोशल मीडिया पे. सो अटैकर में ऑल्सो बी एबल टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज अ साइट so that it automatically infects the vulnerable browsers software. Social media may be used more subtly, like to reinforce a social engineering campaign, drive the adoption of Trojans. So through web and social media, it's quite easy कि वो जो है अटैक परफॉर्म किया जा सके. Then cloud. This is the last part. Many companies now run part of their network services via internet accessible clouds. Cloud services कितनी अब वो handy हो गई हैं, we all are aware of, है ना. The attacker only needs to find one account, service or host with weak credentials to gain access. जब उसको मिल गया ऐसा, then the attacker is likely to target the accounts which are used to develop services in the cloud, manage the cloud system, and they can also try to attack the cloud service provider as a way of accessing the victim system. So जो sophisticated threat actors होते हैं, they will make use of multiple vectors. जो ये vectors explain किए हुए हैं, like direct access, removable media, email, remote and wireless, supply chain, web and social media, and cloud. तो sophisticated threat actors वो multiple vectors के through जाएंगे. So they are more likely to plan a multi-stage campaign. अलग अलग तरीकों से वो अप्रोच करेंगे rather than single smash and grab type of raid. तो वैसे नहीं जाएंगे. So it's all about attack vectors, the different vectors which are associated with attack. Are you all clear with the attack surface and vectors, guys? Everyone? Guys, please acknowledge if you all are clear with the part which all the topics which we have discussed today till this topic, like attack surface and vectors, so that tomorrow onwards we can continue with threat intelligence sources, which is topic 2B. Any doubt, any query to anyone? Yes, no, maybe. Any query, guys? All clear? Okay, Ganesh. I hope it's clear to everyone out there. All right, Vivek. Okay, Rishabh. This PDF is already shared, Sagar. Please check your class notes. I believe everyone has 21 PDFs. I have uploaded every PDF. Yes, right? Sagar, please check. It's there in Teams itself. जो ये आपकी CompTIA की सिक्योरिटी प्लस की जो टीम है ना, उसमें फाइल सेक्शन में जब आप जाओगे, देर आर क्लास मटेरियल्स एंड इन क्लास मटेरियल स्टडी नोट्स दे रखे हैं. देर आर 21 पीडीएफ्स, 21 लेसन्स हैं. सारी पीडीएफ्स मैंने पहले ही अपलोड कर दी है. प्लीज चेक. Alright. Okay, guys, so we are done with the session. That's all for today. Now you all may leave the session. Thank you and have a good day.